Hi, it's Art, short for Artemy, and you can find me at CU Artist pretty much everywhere. I have started one and finished another of the graphic novels that I have from the library right now, so I wanted to chat about those a little bit. I started reading Reinventing Comics just because I thought that would definitely be something that could be interesting to talk about in here if I have time, but it is definitely more of an educational comic, so I really have been trying to take my time and actually absorb what is being said. I was expecting most of this book to be about technology and comics, which a lot of it is apparently, but it's in the latter half of the book, so I haven't gotten there yet. But I was surprised by some of the stuff that is going to be in the front half of it. McCloud starts out the book by talking about, the rise of the comic industry and how, because people were so excited about it being like a collectible thing, it really drove the market way up, but it kind of got too big for its britches and had a dramatic crash at the end of the 90s, and how his comic-making contemporaries really had big, longer-term goals for comics as a whole. Not that everybody agreed on all of them, but that was things that people were thinking about, and how because of the crash there was a lot less space for that, but those things are ways that comics can continue to expand and reach more people. He calls them the 12 comic revolutions, 3 of which are related to technology and comics. Some of them, I guess, were more expected to me. Having comics be acknowledged as literature and art definitely was expecting, creators having rights over their own creations, and the industry being innovative, better serving producer and consumer. Having public perception be improved, it also makes sense. I am definitely a lot younger, so comics have been always taken more seriously while I've been alive, but there has still been that kind of assumption that they are more for kids. Still ingrained in a lot of the people who were older in my life. So, institutional scrutiny was another, higher learning facilities and the law treating comics equally to other mediums is also just something that I had not really thought about, so hopefully that means that has had some strides. And the things that I just was not anticipating being discussed in this comic were gender balance for the creation and the audience, and minority representation, the creators and the audience. I just, for whatever reason, was not anticipating those being one of the directions people were going for, but it does really make sense. As well as the diversity of genre, having it not just be kind of superheroes and the stuff that people would think of as a comic book TM. So I am excited to see what is said about those things and try to think about where they are now. I do think there are a lot more strides in a lot of those areas at this point in time, but I do think there is a lot more room to grow in those areas as well. When I started reading this book, I just kind of forgot about how cool I think comics are, and learning about the history of them is very cool to just know that it is part of a longer standing tradition of art. I am the king of forgetting that I enjoy comics. Since I realized that this was going to take me a lot longer to pour through, I finished reading when I arrived at the castle this morning. Since it is definitely a shorter one, I was like, I can definitely get through that pretty quickly. And also I had been flipping through and looking at the composition and panel layout of it, and since I already knew I did enjoy Emily Carroll's work, I was really excited to go through that. It was, as I anticipated, absolutely so gorgeous, pretty spooky, and it was something that I had to read over a couple times. It is definitely more, literary. There can be a lot of interpretations of how it ends, which isn't always my favorite thing in a book. Sometimes I like to know the answers, but I know that is not the case for everybody. I think after reading through it a couple more times, I have my own interpretation of what happened, but I am gonna try and get my roommate to read it, and so that I can discuss those interpretations with somebody. I think it was very cool and interesting to read, but not everybody's cup of tea. I was looking at some reviews, and a lot of people did not like that they were confused by it, so yeah, there is one book down from my library books that I have. That is all I have for today. Thanks for listening, and I hope to see you tomorrow.